What up friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the M50 Mark II, what it does great, what it sucks at, and who is it best for. Should you upgrade from the Mark I? Let's get into it. Alright, so Canon's M50 line, the M50 Mark I was actually one of the best-selling cameras to ever hit the market. It was really popular for the YouTubers, content creators, and anyone really doing social media work, and it's actually still a really great option today. Throughout this review, I'm going to be comparing the Mark II to the Mark I, and at the end of the video, I'll give you my opinion on if you should upgrade. So let's get right into it. The Mark II is still rocking the same 24 megapixel APS-C CMOS sensor. Now, I actually really like the sensor. I liked it in the Mark I. For photography, it's enough data where you can crop in a little bit at 24 megapixels. I found it to be quite pleasant to my eye. I also really like the colors. Canon color science is actually really great, and it's on par with some of the higher end cameras in the Canon line, so I have no complaints with the sensor overall. It's actually really nice. This iteration's also rocking the same Digic 8 processor as the Mark I, and it runs efficiently and quick, puts out 10 frames per second in burst mode, so again, no complaints there. Up next, let's talk about the design and ergonomics of the Mark II. Now, overall, I would say it's essentially unchanged from the Mark I. It's basically the exact same camera, and you won't really notice a difference if you pick up a Mark I and a Mark II. That being said, Canon is boasting that this camera is slightly lighter. Now, I don't notice that at all. I own the Mark I, and I obviously have the Mark II in my hand, and I can't tell a difference really. Now, that being said, I will say the design of this camera is actually superb. I'm really impressed with what Canon is able to fit in such a small package. This camera is really tiny. It fits in your palm. It can basically be an everyday carry in your bag and you won't even notice it's in there. Now, the reason I'm impressed is what they're able to fit in such a small package. It's got a good grip. It's got manual control dials. It's got custom buttons. It's got a flip out fully articulating screen. It's got, a nice button layout in the back. It's got a built-in EVF. It's got a hot shoe. It's got interchangeable lens system. I mean, it's got so many things going for it, and it's still just in a very tiny package. So overall, Canon did a really great job with the design. It doesn't feel small and tiny and like a toy really, like some small cameras that I pick up in this same market and price point, they just feel kind of toyish to me. This doesn't. This feels like a refined, just shrunken down version of a higher end camera. So overall, I really like it. I find myself picking it up and enjoy shooting with it, if you know what I mean. So overall form, how many times can I say overall in this little segment here? But I will say form and design, I give it a really big thumbs up. Canon did a great job there. One of the more notable upgrades in the Mark II is actually the new and improved autofocus system. It is an enhanced autofocus system is what Canon is claiming from the Mark I, and what the improvements are eye tracking. I really like this feature, and I think every camera should have this coming on the market right now. So in photography, you can put it in AI servo mode, and a little box will pop up around your eye, and it will track your subject regardless of how fast they're moving, or if they're moving left and right or forward and back. That little box will remain on their eye and stay in focus. So whenever it is that you are ready to snap a photo, you can ensure that their eye is going to be in focus all the time. That really gives you a nice peace of mind where you don't have to, focus, reframe, and then shoot. And for beginning photographers, you guys are really going to be spoiled because you just frame up your shot, you make sure that the eye box is popped up, which it will be, and then you're able to shoot. And it's a really fast and accurate system. Really well done by Canon. This also flows into their video system, and they do have eye tracking for video. That's a movie servo AF mode for video, and it does the exact same thing. It tracks it real time, similar to the Sony autofocus. It does a really great job. Now, the dual pixel autofocus in Canon has always been superb, so this just makes it even more fast and accurate. Now, a big flaw with the Mark II that comes over from the Mark I that I'm actually really disappointed is still there is that this beautiful, highly efficient and accurate autofocus system goes away and is unavailable as soon as you pop it into 4K. I don't know why Canon is doing it with this. Maybe it's a technology bogged down. Maybe the processor isn't capable of supporting that technology, but it's really disappointing and a huge flaw with this camera. The 4K basically is unusable because it goes back to an older autofocus system which causes hunting and inaccuracy and just, bugs me overall. So as long as you're shooting in 1080p or lower, and for photography features, the autofocus in this is superb. So that's a big thumbs up for me there. Another notable upgrade for the Mark II is actually the new live stream features. Now, this really is a nice feature and blew me away when I learned about it because it's something I've actually never seen before. It has something called a built-in web encoder, some new technology that allows this camera to wirelessly live stream straight to YouTube. Now, I don't know if other platforms are going to make this available in further firmware updates, but that's just an incredible technology to be able to wirelessly stream live, straight to YouTube and out into the world is incredible. Think about the capabilities if you're at an event like a Apple CES event or, some type of presentation and you want to be able to live stream straight wirelessly just like you're on your phone, and have that really high quality video and audio, maybe with an external wireless audio plugged into the mic adapter. That's a game changer for live streaming. So that's a big upgrade here with the Mark II. I really like it. I also like the plethora of live streaming capabilities with their new app. They have a new Canon webcam utility software that allows you to live stream to many different platforms. Another upgrade is to be able to get clean HDMI out when you're live streaming events. Now, the reason this is so important is because if you don't have a clean out, if you like the Mark I and you're trying to live stream on that, it's basically going to mirror the image that is on the screen. So you're going to get the settings that are on the screen onto your live stream. Also, if you're monitoring audio, you're going to get those signals on the live stream feed. And you're going to get things like, if the focus system and what focus points you're on, and if there's a little box on their faces or whatnot, you're going to get all of that information on the live stream. So it's going to mirror the image that's on the screen of your camera. But with a clean HDMI out, this camera is just going to give you a clean signal. So you're going to get just the video feed coming off the sensor, and it's a really nice feature for all you live streamers out there. Another feature not many people are talking about is when you are shooting and have clean HDMI video going out of this camera, it now has the ability to give you autofocus features. That was something not capable before. So now you're getting nice, clean, crisp video HDMI out and having to not worry about autofocus. So that's a big feature for the Mark II. Now, this is a big selling point for gamers or Twitchers, live streamers, anyone using live content creation, which seems to be the wave of the future. So that's kind of something that you really need to keep in mind. If you do plan on doing those things, the Mark II is a big upgrade from the Mark I. I probably myself should be getting into live stream, but I'm not there yet because I'm about 20 years behind the times. More features I love about the Mark II is it now has vertical automatic detection of video. So you're able to shoot nice vertical video, export that video over Wi-Fi or NFC straight to your camera using the really nice Canon app, and then be able to maybe edit that video and put it out quickly onto Instagram or wherever else you're posting your videos. That's really nice for you loser content creators like myself that's just able to go on the go, take this camera out, shoot something quickly, get good quality audio with it, good quality video, send it over to my phone, edit up real quick, and then post right away. For people in a hurry, which are basically all of us, or someone that doesn't want to hassle with putting all their footage onto a computer and editing and that sort of thing, it's a really nice feature. I really like it. It seems to be that all the new cameras on the market are going that vertical video feature because it seems to be, we're on our phones so much because we're stupid idiots that just scroll through crap all day long. So that's a really nice feature for the Mark II. All right, so this is the vlogging test for the M50 Mark II. I'm out here at a local park at sunset, just checking it out and seeing what this little guy can do. I have the image stabilization on right now. I'm at 15 millimeters and I'm at about a 50th of a second at f7.1. I had to crank up the f-stop a little bit so that I could compensate for the really bright light. But the nice thing is that this camera has got a lot of great automatic settings, so you can turn it on ISO auto, have it on 1/50th of a second, so the shutter speed is just set, and then you could just change your f-stop according to the light, or even leave that on auto, and the camera does a really great job compensating for features and lighting and stuff like that. So I really like that. I am shooting in 1080, so you can see the eye autofocus is pretty accurate. I'm not losing autofocus at all, and it's not hunting, and it's still wide enough, so it's a very usable length. Now I do have the external mic plugged in right now. Let's take that out and let's see what the sound quality sounds like without the mic. Let's see what that footage is like, and then I'm gonna pop that image stabilization off. But you can actually really hear a difference, I'm sure, with mic on and mic off. And I am using the I'm using the Movo mic, so I'll link that in the description below. It's a cheap little mic. It's like a $40 mic. Let's plug that back in. So whenever I'm doing any type of vlogging, I have to usually plug in an external mic. Even on my A7S III, I'm a stickler for good audio, especially with wind noise. I like having a wind muff on, so external audio is something you definitely want with this M50. That's probably my first purchase if I'm a vlogger or content creator with this camera. So let's turn image stabilization off now and let's see what that looks like. Image stabilization off now. So let's do a little bit of walking. I'm just walking completely normal. I'm not trying to ninja walk at all or make this smooth in any way. But this is image stabilization off. Again, I'm at 15 millimeters. And this is the kit lens. This is the standard setup. This is just with a cheap little Movo mic, and this would be your go-to vlogging setup. For many of you guys out there, this is a great little camera because on full auto, it does really well. It's got good eye tracking autofocus, so you don't really have to worry about features and settings and learning your camera. You could really just sit it on auto, get yourself a nice external mic, hit record, and go and tell your story. So I think that's why I always recommend the M50 Mark II. You can see as a vlogging unit, it's really nice. So let's turn image stabilization back on. All right, so now I have image stabilization back on, and I did change back to manual settings because I just thought it looked a little bit dark. But you can see with image stabilization on, it does punch in a little bit more, so you do get a little bit more of a crop. So this is 1080p at 15 millimeters with image stabilization on. I'm gonna switch it over to 4K now so you can see how much more of a crop the 4K uses. So this is 4K. I don't even like looking at this. It's so punched in, it's like jaunting. But this is 4K with image stabilization on at the exact same zoom line, about 15 millimeters. So you could see I'm fully extended vlogging with my arm all the way out and a little tripod, and it's way too punched in. I mean, this is like a comfortable arm setting, and it's just way too punched in for anyone to use this as a viable option. And you could see too that the autofocus just misses a lot. It hunts a lot. It doesn't follow your face very well. So again, just 4K is just super disappointing. So that wraps up my vlogging test for the M50 Mark II. Let's jump back into the studio and finish the review. Some other small tweaks they made for this camera is they now have a record button built into the touchscreen display. So if you're a vlogger or something like that, you don't have to try to reach up top and try to find the physical button. Instead, you could just hit the button on the screen, start recording. You can see easily and cleanly that you are recording and be able to get your nice video right there. So I actually like little tweaks like that. Another nice upgrade, which I actually really like, is the improved battery life. Now they did this through, upgraded efficiency in the software. No real hardware tweaks. It's actually still the same battery pack as the Mark I, but the Mark I was rated about 235 images per charge, and the Mark II you can get about 305 images per charge. So that's about a 30% increase, which is actually really great for a camera this size. That's something that I actually was really impressed with. That's also going to translate over to video. You're going to get about 20 to 30% longer battery life when shooting video, so that's a big plus. Now let's talk about lens selection, because I think it's important on this EFM type system. The lens selection before in the Mark I always complained about it. When Canon first put out the Mark I, it started with these M series small mirrorless lenses. They didn't have a big lens selection, and it was a big problem for me because I thought if you're going to have this tiny little body, you don't want to have some giant adapter and big Canon glass built to it. But since then, Canon has just really done a great job expanding the EFM lenses, and they've gotten lucky because third party like Sigma has put out some really nice EFM lenses for this system. So it's actually a really legitimate lens lineup now. I actually really like the Sigma 16 1.8 or 1.4. That lens is a really nice lens for vloggers and YouTubers and content creators. It's a little bit pricey, so it adds to the overall cost of this small package, but it's nice that you have so much versatility with lenses now, and it's really not a complaint anymore for me. It's actually a huge plus for this lineup. In comparison to some of the other cameras out there in this price point, Canon's really nailing it. So you have so many options. You can get some really professional looking video and photos from these little tiny mirrorless bodies now. In summation, let's talk about some pros and cons and talk about who this camera is good for. First of all, the 4K video, it's essentially unusable. It's just garbage. Straight up, it's unusable. I would never use it. Also has a 30-minute record limit. It's kind of annoying, but a lot of cameras on the market still have them. Essentially, that's it though. Those are the only cons I have for this. Bad 4K, no image stabilization in body, 30-minute record limit, and not a huge huge upgrade over the Mark 1. Now let's talk about the pros though, because there are a lot of pros. It is one of the best-selling cameras on the market, so it's a proven camera. Also, beautiful color science from Canon, really nice pictures. I like the picture quality coming off this 24 megapixel sensor. Great autofocus in 1080 and below and for pictures. Probably the best autofocus system on the market, comparable with some of the really high-end Sony and Canon lineups. So it's really a huge plus. Also for vloggers and content creators and YouTubers, it has basically every feature you're looking for. It's small, it's light. You can choose whatever lens you want with the interchangeable lens system, so you can get blurry backgrounds. Has a fully articulating touchscreen, which does a really great job. Built-in mic jack, built-in hot shoe, has an EVF for photography, good ergonomics, manual controls. I mean, overall, this camera is almost the perfect camera for everyone out there, regardless of what you're shooting, as long as you're not shooting 4K. If they fix that and fix the crop in the 4K, this will be the best camera on the market. It almost is there right now for basically every beginner, intermediate, or content creator out there that asks me, Dom, what camera should I get to start my YouTube channel or to start my live streaming gaming channel or whatever it is? The M50 Mark II is going to be my go-to. Even for beginning photographers, I love to recommend this camera and the Mark I because it has such good capabilities. You could throw in an adapter and really get some high-end Canon glass used and just get some really great photos. Now, you know, it's not the biggest, most intimidating camera on the market, so when you show up to your clients, they may say, what the hell is that little thing? But I promise you, you can get some really professional images from this little body. It's actually really, really powerful. The biggest pro to this camera overall though is I'm gonna say it's the value versus the cost. This is a really, really powerful camera. It packs a ton of features and you can get some really professional video and photo coming out of this thing at a really good value. Right now, I think this is going for about $649 for the kit with the lens and the body. And for 650 bucks, there's just not many cameras that can do what this little thing can do. So the big question is, should you buy the Canon M50 Mark II? And let's start with if you own a Canon M50 Mark I. If you do, I would say no, it's not worth the upgrade unless you live stream. Then I could see making the jump over. But aside from that, no, don't upgrade, it's not worth it overall. Now, if you don't have an M50 Mark I and you are in the market for a camera, I would say this is almost the perfect camera. Canon could have got it just so right by changing that 4K issue. But if you don't shoot 4K, this is basically the best camera on the market and definitely the best camera on the market for the price. I highly recommend it because the value is just so good. So definitely take a look at it. A few things I would change. I would definitely upgrade from the kit lens, or I would not get the kit lens at all and get a third-party lens like the Sigma. And aside from that, I wouldn't get the white. It collects fingerprints and dirt and dust. Even just in my small testing, I've noticed that this white one has got a little bit dirty, so it has bugged me. I would go with the black, but this little thing can do it all, and it does it at a very low cost of entry. So big thumbs up for me. I really love the Mark II and the Mark I. I'll provide links for all these cameras and the lenses in the description below. Take a look at those. I'm also gonna be putting out a video of the Mark II versus the Sony ZV-1. It's direct competition as the best YouTube camera or video camera for content creators, so stay tuned for that. If I brought you some value in this video, hit me with a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe for more awesome videos. I appreciate you guys. What do you guys think? Are you disappointed by the Mark II? Because I still think it's a great little camera. You just had really high expectations from Canon, but big thumbs up for me. I recommend it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.